How's it going, everyone? My name is Patrick Burns, and my final presentation is covering the influence of violence in public health. So let's get more into it. Starting off, a small introduction about me. I'm an Emory University graduate, where I graduated in 2016, majoring in psychology. Currently, I'm working at Benchmark Physical Therapy, where I'm a rehab technician. Been working there going on 3 years, and I really enjoy my job and all the experiences that I've learned so far. Now, I'm a student in the Master of Health Administration program, where this is the end of my second semester. I've gained a lot of experience, especially with this class and all the research we had to do covering our specific policies. So what got me interested in this topic, looking into violence and violent crimes and how it affects public health. We see a lot on media outlets how violent crimes, sexual abuse, and other shootings really affect communities and how that has a role in our health systems and them going into receiving care. So that got me interested, and I wanted to see what all goes into that. So violence in public health. So since the 1970s, violent crimes have been seen as a public health issue in the United States because as we go on throughout the years, we see violent crimes are increasing. So that's something we have been keeping an eye on and having statistics about every year. And as we know, violent crimes, they affect everyone. So when somebody is affected in their family, it doesn't just affect that victim, but everyone involved in the family. And they also have to, have resources to be able to take care of that person. And so when you think about violent crimes, there are child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, gun violence. So there are a lot of things that are covered in violent crimes. And it's kind of hard to keep a handle of all of those things and find resources available for all of them. And again, the financial impact going into our health system. So if you were a victim of gun violence, you have to be treated for that, and that affects your insurance. And maybe you don't have insurance, and that's a whole nother ordeal. So it's a financial impact with our health system, insurance, and that's why violent crimes are seen as a public health issue. Some of the pros of seeing violent crimes and violence as a public health issue, it raises the magnitude of these problems, and people begin to take things seriously, begin to be proactive in their approach to violent crimes, and maybe getting insurance if you live in a rough neighborhood, or seeking out different opportunities to keep maybe your children safe or yourself safe through other programs. So that's one pro for this situation. Another thing, again, resources to assist victims. So we have other programs, whether that be taking in domestic abuse victims, after school programs such as the Boys and Girls Club to keep kids off of rough neighborhoods, out of the streets, things like that. Raising the awareness of violent crimes, it gives us resources to other opportunities to keep one another safe. Some of the cons of seeing violence as a public health issue, there are many resources to invest in. Like I said before in the last slide, there are a lot of things covered as violent crimes, such as sexual abuse, child abuse, domestic abuse, gun violence. So there are different programs to help with these victims. But at the end of the day, when it comes to stakeholders, we need to know which program we want to invest in at that time, because money, we don't have all the money that we want to give to every program. So we have to be smart and really choose the programs that cover what we are dealing with in that neighborhood at that time. So the key performance indicator that I looked into earlier this semester was the 4th-R program. This program is implemented in the high school system, where kids are able to go through class and begin to realize the relationship dynamics that they need to have appropriate relationships with their peers. And also they learn how to do better with peer pressure and understanding what is best for them when it comes to different situations. So they're building proper relationships with people from the other sex and knowing what is right and understanding what is wrong, such as the sexual abuse, sexual harassment, what is not appropriate when speaking to another person. And this is also reducing the maltreatment of children at a younger age. So going forth, they have these stepping stones to build upon as they grow older and they understand what is right when it comes to dealing with a person of the opposite sex or dealing with a partner. Organizational leadership. So looking into this model, into this policy, the leader who is involved in this should be proactive. So they are taking the necessary steps to prevent some of these violent crimes and knowing which resources are available to victims so that they can get the assistance that they need as soon as possible. Also encouraging people on their staff because as we know, dealing with these things, it can be tough when you're dealing with sexual abuse patients, dealing with children who have been abused. So that can kind of bring you down, but you need a leader to encourage you and let you know that you're doing work for the better good of everyone else and assisting these victims, which should bring you to a better place. Again, doing research on programs, knowing which programs are right for you with different situations and looking into those, seeing which ones you should invest in and which ones maybe you should do more research, speak to the leaders involved in those programs and learn how you can collaborate and eventually work together. And again, as I said, allocating the funds to the appropriate programs so we can have the resources available to those victims. In conclusion, the significance of this policy, seeing violence as a public health issue, is very important because we need to allocate resources to be able to get the programs that can help the victims that really need it the most. And again, why is this research important? Because we deal with violent crimes every day. We see it on different social media outlets, on the news. So people can see things in one way, but we need to do more research to see what's all involved when it comes to violent crimes. So things such as, a rough childhood, being abused by your parents, things such as that goes into violent crime. So if we can fix these from an early age, it can help us, deal with these victims and with these criminals as we get older and find out how we can reduce these actions. And again, recommendations, just really being involved in other programs and knowing which programs do what so we aren't confused. And when it comes time to choosing a program, we know which one to use. So that is all for my presentation. I appreciate you watching it. The feedback would be great, and here are my references. Thank you. Thank you for a successful semester. I'll see you next semester.